Welcome to blueprint number 2, the value of the argument. Every couple is going to argue. I can't imagine anybody not arguing, although in my ministry several years ago, a very aged man, I'm going to guess probably already in his 70s, took umbrage at me because I made the comment I just made to you. Everybody argues. That doesn't have to divide anybody. And he proudly said to me, my wife and I have absolutely never had an argument. And I was a little surprised, but wasn't going to argue with him. And then I discovered shortly after that that's probably exactly the way she felt. I'm not going to argue with him because he's adamant, he's right, and when he makes a point, you've got the finger and the tone and the face, and I realized, uh-oh, that's why they've never had an argument. Because I wasn't going to argue with him, and neither did she. And then she wound up having some emotional problems and breakdowns, and I could just almost guarantee you they all related to that kind of strain in a relationship. So let me just tell you, me, all of us, everybody, every couple should have an argument. That doesn't mean you should have a fight, it means you should have an argument. If we define argument this way, you understand where we're going with this. An argument is just the vehicle by which each person gets to express his point of view. How do you know what your wife thinks or wants if she's afraid to speak because you're going to be right, and you're going to cut her off, and you're going to fight, and you're going to win? How do you know what he thinks, what he feels, what he wants if he can't speak freely? That being called stupid, wrong, bullheaded, whatever. So that's what we're going to learn to do. An argument is not a fight to see who wins. It is a vehicle to get opinions on the floor. So follow some rules with me tonight, and arguing in your family, in your marriage, will actually be productive instead of counterproductive. First of all, remember that anytime you're in an argument with your wife and you do not want it to be a fight ever, there are 2 simple little I rules that kind of help gauge what we do with each other in our conversation. Stick to the I's. Stick to the issue. When you're arguing about who's spending too much money and without consulting the other one, and they're buying their 139th pair of shoes now, not calling any names, remember the issue is the reason my wife's up in the nursery, so I can speak freely. The argument is only about the spending of money and the lack of communication about the budget. That's all. It's not about her. It's not about my control or lack of it. It's just about, do we have the money? Did we have a budget? Should this have been something we talked about? And that's pretty much it. If you insult the other I, the 2 I's, if you insult, now you've got a fight. And it's no longer about the issue. Never stays on the issue the first time you bring an insult out. How easy it is to just remember to never insult. But that's what we commonly do if we don't actually have a plan for battle, if you mind. So it's easy to get angry because somebody, your spouse, did something you didn't think they should do, or something you talked about it, and they went ahead and did it anyway. And it's easy to just say you're stupid, you're selfish, you're not thinking about anybody but you, you're bullheaded, you're a control freak, and all those things are insults. None of those things are about the issue. They're just insults. Now, I don't know about you, but I've never been insulted that I was able to just say, oh, that feels good. I like that. That makes me feel like we're going somewhere with our conversation. Whether it's my wife, and I don't mean her, but whether it's her or somebody on the job, nobody's ever insulted me that I walked away thinking, oh, that was fun. The natural reaction to being insulted is, I can call you one better. And man, you know how, I'm sure none of you ladies ever resorted to profanity, but a man, if he starts losing the insult game, because you have a bigger vocabulary than he does, well, then he just turns to profanity. By God. And it doesn't take us long to just insult you with bad words. So our vocabulary might not be big enough to peg some of the things you call us. And we might not even know what a narcissist is. But I know what a blankety blank is, and you're one. And the minute we do that, all we do is guarantee that we're not going to get back on track now. We're going to hurt feelings, and then we're going to go to bed angry, or we're going to go to separate beds, or we're going to sleep on the couch because we're too proud to make amends for the insult and the damage the insult did. It's just a very simple thing. And it's really not impossible to do. To just exercise enough discipline to remind yourself, anytime you get in a clash of words with your spouse, just remember to focus on the issue that made the clash come up the first time, and don't insult the other person. It's a lot easier than we think it is if you keep that in mind. And that's why I want to put it on the screen so you'd see it. And then the other rule of arguing so that it doesn't become a fight is to learn how to table an argument. Anybody remember your Robert's Rules of Order? When you were in school, you should have learned some parliamentary procedure and Robert's Rules of Order. And if you were ever on a student council or on any kind of committee where they followed Robert's Rules of Order, then you know that one of those rules of order is after you've discussed an issue and it looks like we're not going to be able to resolve it, somebody can just say, I move that we table that until the next meeting. And all it takes is one person saying, I second that. And they wrap the gavel, and this motion is tabled until next Wednesday. It's no longer on the floor. And now because we're all ordered creatures and we follow the rules of order, now we can't continue to discuss that until next Wednesday when we come back. And that gives us a little while to talk about it. I have begged couples in pre-marriage meetings for the last 25 years to learn the art of tabling an argument. And I'll tell you, if you don't table the argument, then every argument is going to become a power struggle. I want to win. I hate losing. I especially hated losing to my wife the first 6 or 8 years we were married. I won every argument if I could, and it didn't matter how I won it. If an insult shut her up and I felt like that made me the winner, I'd insult her. And then I won because she shut up. I was the winner. Not really. Not later on about 11 o'clock at night. I wasn't the winner. I was a loser. That's what we do. We insult. But we do more than that. You probably, some of you men probably have done the same thing I've done to win a fight with your spouse. I can't be the only one in here who's actually made up stuff and lied. I have quoted articles in magazines that I knew she read that I had never read. But I have quoted them. You know, you like to read, blah, blah, blah. Reader's Digest back in our day was a kind of a common magazine we subscribed to, and we always loved to read stories. And Dr. Somebody had Spock had a story in there. And we could be in an argument about something about money or shoes or control or whatever. And I would say, when I realized I was losing and she was smarter than me, I would say, did you read Reader's Digest last month? What's that got to do with anything? Did you read it? No. Oh, now I know I can quote her. If she read it, I would back up a couple of months. Did you read the July one? That's the one. If you'd have read that, there's a doctor in there with a story, and you know, here's the thing you're doing. And I'd try to quote something that I hadn't really read. I know it was a lie, and I'm probably going to hell for it. But at least I won some arguments because she didn't know how to counter with so much fact. Even if I had to make the fact up. It took me a long time to finally realize that if I think one of us has to win every time we have an argument, then every argument becomes a power struggle till death do us part, and we're going to part tonight for at least a couple of nights, because one of us is going to die, and one of us is going to win. And I like to win, and she liked to die. And I like for her to die. And so I won. And somewhere along the way I realized, my gosh, it gets so tiring to suffer the consequences of fighting. And over nothing. Because I would discover that the thing that I had to win on tonight, and I finally won, and then I sleep on the couch for a couple of nights. And in a couple of nights I'm thinking, it wasn't even that big a deal. I could have let her win that one. I'd still be in the bedroom and everything be all right. And she'd be talking to me. We'd be eating, not in silence. And like one of those nights, it dawned on me, good Lord, then what if we had just put this off? What if we had just tabled it? I was on a committee in business, and we followed Robert's Rules of Order. We had some hotheads once in a while on our board, and they would get mad, and finally we would all discuss something, and tempers were flaring, and somebody would just say, I move we table this. We're not getting anywhere with this. And somebody else said, I second, and it's over. How cool was that? Fight stopped. We discuss it next week, but then an amazing thing happened next week. We came back next week. Everybody had had time to get their ammo. They had also had time to think about what the other side was thinking. Somewhere way back along the 8th or 10th year we were married, I just suggested to my wife one night, you know what we ought to do? We were in a serious discussion about life and babies and problems with the kids, and what she wanted and I wanted was different. And I said, can we just talk about this next Wednesday? Why Wednesday? Not just any time. Can we just put this off? We're obviously not going to come to a solution tonight. Why don't we just put this off until next Wednesday, and let's talk about it Wednesday. And an amazing thing happened the first time we did that. Over the next few days, I had time to assimilate what she said, try to see it from her point of view. And a few days after that fight we were about to get in, I kind of realized she was right. And I didn't want to admit it. And thankfully we had tabled it, and I hadn't won because I wouldn't have liked the way I wanted it to be. And so when Wednesday came, she was kind of nervous and I was kind of nervous, and we both knew we had promised to talk about it again on Wednesday. I think it was Wednesday, it might have been any day, but when that day came, and so here's the way I brought the subject back up. I said, well, let's sit down and talk for a minute. Remember what we were talking about last week? I've had a little time to think about it. And here's what I think we ought to do. And I said exactly what she had said we ought to do a few days ago. I just said it. Here's what I think we ought to do. I think we ought to. And she looked across the table at me like, is he stupid? She didn't say it because that would have been an insult. She said, well, okay. And she was too nervous to say, that's what I said, moron, because she knew I might get all defensive and huffy again. So she just glibly went along with me. Like, well, okay. I think that's what we should do. Well, let's do that then. Okay. I won. I won all the way around. I did it her way. She was happy. I took credit for it. I was happy. And it was pretty smooth. And so we kind of started that as a pattern. And I owned up to it, like the next day or two. Look, I know that was your idea. But, you were right. And we should have done it that way. And that's the way we'll do it now. And blah, blah. And over the years, it just got easier to not fight. To just say, let's just talk about it later. After, remember what the argument is, the vehicle by which we get a point out. After I heard her point of view, and after she heard my point of view, we don't have to come to a resolution. Because if we have to come to a resolution tonight, we have got a power struggle going on. Somebody's got to win tonight. And so we stopped the power struggle by simply tabling things that we were trying to discuss until a later time. Remember, when you win an argument with your spouse, you never win. You lose, always. Let me share a quick little model of behavior from you. This is pretty common, I think, in most interpersonal dynamics or first-year psychology classes in college. That's where I saw it, was in an interpersonal dynamic class. And it's just a general model to show our typical behavior and reinforcement. We start, we live in a way we think is right. I think I'm okay. I think I'm a good person. I think I'm doing this right. I act according to how I think about myself. I think I know what to do. I act okay. And then sure enough, somebody affirms. We're just saying marriage. My spouse affirms. They compliment. You did that well. Thank you for doing that. and it affirms. I knew it. I am okay. I act okay. She affirms. I knew it. That's me. I'm a nice person. Thank you. I'll do something else nice for you. Because she complimented and affirmed my goodness. And so it's just a simple model. And the negative side of that is, if we have low self-esteem and we think we're thugs and punks and creeps and whatever, selfish, and everything we bought into, somebody put in our head, we act the way we feel about ourselves. If I think I'm a creep, I'm going to act like a creep. Guess what somebody's going to do? They're going to affirm I'm a creep. If I act snotty on the job to somebody because I feel like I'm that kind of person, somebody, them or a boss or somebody, is going to say, you know what, 3 strikes around here and you're out. You're going to stop that low-life behavior. This ain't no prison gang. This ain't no, you're going to act. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I don't go away saying, oh, I got to be nicer. I go away saying, yeah, I don't care. That's what I am. I knew it. That's the negative side. So when we had this little model in interpersonal dynamics class many years ago, I redrew them and turned them into my own little sketch, and I shared it with the professor, and she thought it was really pretty cool. So it affirmed. I knew it was cool, and she said I was, and so I just continued to try to do cool things. You notice I shaded the bottom half of that little deal, and it's just pretty much the same things over there, but just walk through me in your marriage with this. Most of us start marriage on the high side. I'm going to be a good husband. I'm going to be a good wife. So I'm going to do the things I think a good wife or a good husband does. And if he affirms my goodness, he loves me. He compliments me. He says nice things about what I did. I did the things I think a good wife does. This is rhetorical, don't answer this, but you know, I hate for this to sound sexist because I know you ladies already think that I think the reason you have shorter feet than men is so you can stand at the dishwasher at the sink and want to do. So I know I can't win on any model that I'm going to give you in here. I know that, okay? I accept that. So for lack of any other better thing, let's just pretend with me that a wife thinks the cool thing that a good wife does is, you know, when he comes home in the evening, I'm not going to leave the bed covers all thrown all over the bed like they were. When he comes in, there's no shoes on the floor. The bed's going to be made up. All 35 pillows are going to be stacked up against the bed. The ruffles are going to be there. And I'm going to spray a little lilac in the room. So when he walks in the bedroom always feels like and looks like a love nest, because I think that's what a good wife should do. And he comes in and says, whoa, dude, I like. You're just like, I knew it would get him. And you'll just keep doing that. And then one day he comes in dirty, he's got dirty clothes on, and he's tired, and the traffic was bad, and he got in an argument with somebody on the job, and you sprayed the little lilac spray in there, sprayed the fabric spray over there. You can't even smell his dirty socks and underwear. It's just like a love nest, and he walks in, and he just looks at all the pillows, and he said, where's the bed? I can't even find the pillow. The pillow I sleep on. And he just yanks them off and throws them because he's mad, and he throws his clothes down by the bed, and he's irritated. He didn't appreciate what you're trying to do. You're trying to create an ambiance that suggests this bedroom is not where I iron clothes, and it's not where we throw things. This is where we come and relax and refresh ourselves at the end of the day, because you're trying to be a good wife. That's what you think a good wife does. And he just slammed it. And unless you're really strong and have a really strong character and disposition, he has the power to send you on a downward negative cycle that starts pulling at your latent fears, because you do have latent fears. What if I'm not enough? What if I'm not good enough? What if I'm not what he or she thought I should be? What if I don't measure up? I'm never sure. We enter marriage hoping, not guaranteed, and all it takes sometimes is the wrong mood, the wrong language, the wrong word, the wrong behavior, and instead of an affirmation of our goodness, we get an affirmation of our weakness. darkness, our badness. And we don't want to go there, but all of us have some insecurity. All of us do. Everybody. And I don't know if we ever grow out of it. I haven't yet. I'm 66, and I'm still very insecure. You could hurt my feelings. Well, you probably couldn't. But I mean, there's a possibility you could hurt my feelings tonight. You could have 20 years ago. But those things I feared and felt 20 years ago are still here. You probably could still hurt my feelings tonight. My wife could. I could hurt hers. I don't know how many decades we've been together. I can't think on the fly fast enough to remember, but 1973, 83, 93, 2003, 42 years. And yet, today, I know her. I know her. I know her so well. I know what I can say that just keeps her up here cycling and keeping stuff clean for me. One of our church members the other day said, well, I was washing some underwear the other day and I mistakenly put some, and I said, you wash your own clothes? Well, I certainly do. I'm going to ask my wife to. I don't mind confessing, y'all, I don't even know how to use the washing machine in my house. I've never washed anything. That's not a woman's job. My wife just accepted that that's what she does. And I'm not stupid enough to insult her for it. But I don't want to start washing them. I just thank God. Man, I get the underwear out of the drawer and say, you even folded them? That's so nice. She folds them. She irons my boxer shorts. No, she doesn't do that. She doesn't iron them. But she folds them all up. She folds my socks and puts them all in the drawer. And you know what I do when I come in and get them? That is so wonderful. You're like the best washing, folding woman in the world. You're so nice. But I know if I walk in and I start throwing those pillows off the bed and I start grumbling because you put the black ones over here where the brown ones are supposed to be. Then pretty soon I'm going to be having to learn how to use the washing machine not because she's angry and bad, but because I will tap into a fear in her that she's not really the woman I'm happy with. I'd be happier with somebody else. I'm just showing her I'm not really happy with her. So I say all that and walk through that little model, that little paradigm, just to say the things on this screen. Learn not to insult. Learn to speak soothing words to your spouse. The Bible tells us a soft answer turns away wrath. It's amazing how we apply that to business or a fight on the street, but not at home. Soft answer turns away wrath. The tongue sets on fire the course of nature, James said. It's in our nature to retaliate when people hurt us. The tongue sets on fire the course of nature. I insult, she wants to insult back. That's in her nature. My tongue has the power to cause the fight. My tongue has the power to turn away wrath. Soft answer turns away wrath. Philippians 4, Paul said, whatever things are true and honest and just and pure and lovely, of good report, if they have virtue or praise, think on these things. Wouldn't it be great if we apply that scripture to the marriage itself? Your spouse done something true? Has he done something honest? Has he done something just? See, we think, oh no, he lied to me last week. Okay, all right. And all of us will lie occasionally, won't we? But what if you just refuse to dwell on the things your spouse has done wrong and chose to dwell on the things that he's done true and pure and the honest things he's done, not the dishonest. You understand what I'm using that verse for marriage? Because we latch on to the mistake somebody made and we can hold it over their head 20 years later. Bring it up when there's been no reason to bring it up, but 20 years later, oh, you looked at that woman. Don't think I've forgotten 20 years ago. No, you haven't. And we know you haven't. But in all that 20 years, you couldn't think of all the honesty and the true and the pure and the just and the good that your spouse did and just dwell on the good instead of on the bad. If you can master this, you could be married to anybody and they will adore you and love you. Why not do that for the one you're married to and earn their adoration and their praise and their love? That's the rules of argument. And that concludes blueprint number 2. So please find blueprint number 3, the pillar of personal habits.